The Civil War in Memphis, some people were displaced, obviously. Memphis was the 11th and final state to sign on with the South. Not Memphis, but Tennessee was. Of course, Memphis was a part of that. Another event, Civil War related, was in 1864. Nathan Bedford Forrest, a Southern general. Sherman was marching towards Oxford, and Nathan Bedford Forrest put a false telegraph alarm out that Forrest had captured Memphis. Then he cut the wires, which made Sherman turn around and come back to Memphis. But during that night, Forrest had committed a raid on Memphis. He was going to kidnap 3 generals, Washburn, Blackburn, and there was one other, was Claiborne, I think. And of course, none of them were sleeping where they're supposed to be sleeping that night, or had been alerted. And that's why we have General Washburn's escape alley up there on Front Street. If you notice that sign, he's caught in his nightshirt running out. But Forrest was able to capture his uniform. And he took it back and he ironed it and cleaned it up and sent it back to Washburn the next day, kind of like, I've been in your bedroom, ha 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 ha, kind of an insult there. And of course, Washburn knew where Forrest Taylor was in Memphis and was familiar with, how familiar they were with the enemy, and so he got his tailor to make a new Confederate uniform for Forrest with his dimensions on it and sent it right back to him, kind of like a back at you there. So that's part of the chivalry of war, going back and forth there. But there's a lot of back and forth in this area because Sherman would advance and Forrest would come back around, and they secured some of the railroad tracks. Sherman would tear it up, so he kept on making them do double time to get on further in the South. And then the last incident with the Civil War, the war ended on April the 9th, 1865, and President Lincoln was assassinated on April the 14th. There's a boat named the Sultana, S-U-L-T-A-N-A, came down the river, went all the way to New Orleans, and its mission was to go down to New Orleans and pick up released Northern prisoners, Yankee POWs, and bring them back home up the river. And of course, during that time, the war was over. Everybody was glad to get back home up north. They really didn't care about fighting down here. So some of the rules were relaxed, and they would overcrowd the boats a little bit. Well, the Sultana was picking up prisoners. The captain would get $5 for every enlisted man he picked up, and $10 for every officer. So it was a money-making adventure for him. His boat was certificated for 376 passengers. By the time he got to Memphis, he had 2,300 passengers on the boat, which is 6 times the legal limit. So you can imagine this boat legally can hold about 300 people on it, I think. So you can imagine we put another 2,100 people on this boat. Of course, the Sultana was a little bit bigger than this, but just think, a boat certificated for 376,